And one. Hello, welcome to the interview. Today with me is Mindy Green. She's a homeschool expert, family management, life, and grief coach. I'm extremely grateful to be able to interview her. We've been trying to do it for a little while, but due to what's going on, our schedules had to be shifted significantly. So thanks so much, Mindy. Would you like me to add anything to that introduction?
I think you did a great job, Bryce. Thank you for that introduction.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people understand like how important it is, to be a homeschooling expert until like they have to homeschool and then they use your services and talk to you.
Definitely. They're suddenly thrust into something that they hadn't chosen, and I think that makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I often say that I did choose it, and even if when I did choose it, there were still some rocky times, so that's normal.
Yeah. I think you were saying that you had four that you homeschooled?
I did, yes. I've been homeschooling for 18 years, and this is my first year not homeschooling. My youngest just went off to college, so we've been learning how to be empty nesters, which is a new experience too.
Okay. They say parenting is the hardest job, and like most people don't understand that until now when they're stuck inside the house with kids every single day. It's
right.
It's
It's like
interesting.
a pressure cooker, because you're used to having opportunities to let off steam, and those same opportunities aren't there anymore. So it's learning how to be together and stay sane. So I liken it to being given a cooking challenge. And so you're giving all these strange ingredients, and then you're supposed to make something that is edible, that everyone will eat, that not only, it will feed you, but also nourish you and help you to grow, and that's tricky.
Yeah. So, everybody's a backstory. What was life like before you got into coaching?
So I was a school social worker. So I have a master's degree in social work, and I worked in a school setting with kids who had emotional disabilities and learning disabilities. And I did that for 7 years until I had my third child, and I came home and then began my journey of homeschooling. So that was really, I always told my kids and that, I think I grew just as much, if not more than they did through that process. You have to become very self-aware and very reflective to be able to make it through each day, So that's a little bit of my story. And then as I knew that we had two kids graduating every 2 years. So we've been graduating somebody since 2013. And so with that, I knew I needed to have something new, something different that would help me to grow, because I felt like I had been living my life's passion. And once that's taken from you, then what do you do next? And so I knew I didn't want to go back into school social work. And so that's why I decided life coaching, and then specifically focusing on grief coaching would be something that would be of interest to me. So I went back to school, became certified as a life and health coach, and so here I am.
Nice. Okay. So who do you work with the most nowadays?
I see it's kind of evolving, because I was working with people who had suffered losses. We've had a significant number of people recently who have been in a group that I was doing, and we were working through those losses, and then the pandemic happened and we were no longer able to meet. So I've been doing online support with them. And, it made me realize, as everyone was going through this pandemic, that everyone's grieving in some manner. This is a loss for everyone, because we're adapting to a new normal and going through those grief stages. And it really struck me one day, somebody was saying how angry they were, and then they would, and then they were struggling with, some other feelings. And I was like, wait a minute, this is loss. I know this. And so I've been really digging in deep with people who are really struggling with those aspects of what this adaptation means for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what are some tips that you have for people who might be struggling with loss, or I guess loss in like these unique times?
So the strategies that I really recommend to make it through these times is, first of all, to recognize that this is not a time that we've ever been through before. So as Americans, we know that we went through 9/11, and there was pre 9/11 and then post 9/11, and how that changed our lives. But this is something that's global. So if we're struggling, if we're feeling all those emotions, if one day we're having a great day, if another day that we can barely get out of bed, and we just want to stay in our pajamas all day, that's all part of it, and that it's okay. And we have permission to feel those feelings. We don't have to be positive every day, because we're in uncharted territory here. These are unprecedented times. So first of all, to be able to recognize, the uniqueness of this experience. And then the second thing is really then to be able to journal about that. I'm a big fan of journaling because it helps you to kind of do a brain dump and, really put down on paper, or however you do it, even if you want to do like something audio wise, that you're documenting how you're feeling. And I think when you go back, 6 months from now and look and see, you can see how much progress you've made. And so that brings me to the third thing, is to be able to recognize that we all have already made shifts. We already have adapted in some way. We may be wearing masks when we go out to the grocery store. We may be cooking more because we have to, right? And we're making those adaptations. We are making the changes. And so we need to stop and congratulate ourselves that we've already done something. And then the other thing that I really highly recommend is to communicate with the people that we're quarantining with, And so in my house, I have, both of my sons home from college. I have my daughter and her husband who are living with us, and then I have my husband. So it's really important for me to be able to communicate with them what my needs are. And I need to do it in a specific manner, because and this took me years to be able to figure out, and I'm still not always very good at it, that I have to be specific about what it is that I need help with. I don't need to hint or do wishful thinking, because they're not mind readers. And then I also have to humble myself sometimes when I'm having one of those bad days, and I may snap and just say, I'm sorry, I was having a hard time today, and I took that out on you. So and apologize. So, and then the last thing that I really highly recommend for everyone is to do some type of movement. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to go out and do the things like you did at your gym, if you were someone who was interested in the gym, but even getting outside, being able to walk around, that kind of resets our mind and allows us to have that time for our bodies just to let go of some of that stress. Because studies have shown that whenever we suppress our emotions about things or our feelings, that ends up getting buried in our bodies. And so when we're moving and, connecting with nature, then it allows that's pent up stress and those feelings to release. And so we end up feeling better.
So interesting. That's a good point. So we're talking about de-stressing. So journaling, walking outside,
or moving in some manner.
Yeah, moving. That's really cool. Yeah. So can you talk a little bit more about like journaling? Like what does that look like for you? Because the way that you described is different than how I've heard it described in other ways. So it's like, what do you do for your journaling practice?
Well, I actually have my journal notebook right here. So I just, I get these little composition notebooks, and you'll see them all over my house.
Yeah.
And so my journaling is in the mornings, I set an intention for the day. And so and it may be just that I'm going to focus on staying calm and then what that looks like to me. So I may look at, okay, so that means that I'm going to work on what I eat today to support my body, so that I'm not jittery because I've had too much caffeine. And it could be that I'm going to do some yoga, or I have another a program that I do, and it's just very simple, even for 5 or 10 minutes. It could be that I'm meditating. So it's kind of my goals for the day, my intentions for the day. And then at the end of the day, I do what's called a brain dump. And that is that anything that comes into my mind, I just write down. And so it's my way of kind of processing those things. And because one of the things that I've heard a number of clients say, and this is normal during a loss as well, and just in general, when we go through a crisis, you know, our sleep patterns are off. So the reason why I do the brain dump is to get those things out and then hopefully help me to sleep better.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm not waking up in the middle of the night processing something that happened during the day.
Okay.
So
Interesting. So then that's a good question that just popped in my mind. So if you're doing the brain dump, what stops it from just keep going? Like sometimes I'll have it where I write something down, right? But then every 5 minutes I'll have a new idea. Does the brain dump help you prevent that, or does the brain dump kind of lead into that some days?
you know, it kind of, I'll be honest, it depends on the day.
Uh-huh.
You know, it depends on what's happened. So I can say where I live, you know, when as the quarantine started to tighten a little bit and we were given, not mandatory stay-at-home orders, but, highly recommended. You know, that was a day I did a whole bunch of brain dumping, and I still woke up a couple times that night. You know, so, but I think the difference with the brain dump and like just writing down your ideas is that writing down your ideas is creativity, whereas a brain dump is really releasing those things. And so that, so that's how I look at it. And so if I can really, and sometimes I do that for 30 minutes before I go to bed, and so I've turned off social media, I've put my phone, turned off my phone or put it on vibrate, I'm not watching television, and I'm really just allowing my mind to be able to focus on what is it what are my thoughts for the day. And I just put it all there. And sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's longer.
Okay. So kind of switching gears. So, what is the vision for your life?
So Maya Angelou has a wonderful quote. She says that her goal in life is not just to survive but thrive. I'm simplifying that, but is like to do it with a little bit of laughter, a little bit of fun, and and to thrive. And so I don't want to just survive, I want to thrive. And so for me, thriving means that I have strong connections, that I have a sense of, strong community that I'm being able to serve. And that's, through my business, that's in my relationships, it's with, my higher power. So when I have all of those things in alignment, then I feel like I'm living my best life. And that is my vision, is to be able to do that. And then to help others work toward doing that as well, to be able to go from survival mode to thriving in their lives.
Okay, that's really cool. Son, what is success like to you? What does that word mean, and what does that look like? Because if you're living your vision, that could be success, but.
So I see that on multiple levels.
Mm-hmm.
So at the most basic level, because I'm really all about connections, and I've always been very sensitive. So success to me on a personal level and in my business is being able to have those strong connections with people. And so in my home, it means that I'm able to sit down and talk with my kids, and that we can express our feelings and emotions and our dreams and all of those things. And we can really, we can support one another, and striving toward whatever it is that we're working toward. And for my clients, the success that I see there is to be able to see them find meaning and joy in their lives again. I've had several clients who have been stuck in their grief. And so to be able to see them come in one day looking lighter, feeling lighter, and they may have gone from not being able to even really get out of bed, or, really struggling to get through their day, to being able to find something to get up for.
Yeah.
And to start integrating that loss into their lives and moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really rewarding. I mean, yeah, because grief can hit people a lot of different ways. That's really cool that you can help people out. That's really necessary right now. So I'm glad that we have you helping people out. So do you have any special projects that you're either working on, that you have released, or that you're thinking of in the future, or?
So I'm actually working on a homeschool program, and that is to really provide strategies for parents who as in now are kind of doing that forced homeschooling, and to give them strategies to and resources to be able to make the most of this time together. And I'm not sure exactly how that will be structured, but that is it's going to be based on the talk that I gave yesterday to the women entrepreneurs group that I was in, and have, I'm thinking like a workbook or something like that that will go with it, and I'm not sure yet. So right now I'm in the mode of, create that creative thing. And so I have all of these, like you said, I have all these ideas. And so, my notebook is actually full of them right now. It's my brain dump and my creative ideas all in one right now. So I'm really hoping to be able to reach out to the parents and help them through this time. And then at this point, because we don't know what school is going to look like in the fall, right? Because
Yeah.
there's been some discussion that maybe kids won't go back in the fall. And, so if that's the case, then they may be doing this a lot longer than they thought. So just to be able to find some type of program that will help them to make those plans and get through it.
Yeah.
With a little bit of grace.
A little bit of grace. Yeah, because I mean that it can be seen as a good thing and a bad thing, because like if the kids don't have a very stable home environment, it could be really hard
Yes.
for them. I mean, I hate to say it, we could fall behind China and these other places even further. I mean, because with them, with their structure on schooling, if they're at home, they probably work 20 times harder than in school, versus us, we kind of have television, phones, so it's kind of dangerous. Yeah, I guess that's even more needed.
Yes. And I do think, because I was a school social worker, I do think about those kids who are in families who don't have the resources
Um,
to be able to, they don't even have technology, to be able to do some of the things that are necessary. So, schools are having to be very creative. My sister's a school social worker, and so she's working with her school, with her kids, to be able to find some of those resources that are free, to help them during this time, because their families just don't have it to give.
yeah, excellent. So, how can people go and learn more about you?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm here. I'm on the platform regularly, and so I'm trying to post about different things that kind of come to my mind, that I think are helpful, and all of my information is there. I'm also on Facebook, and you can find me at More with Coach Mindy. And I have the Made for More community there, which is a community for people who are going through these times just like everyone else, and and there are resources there for loss and grief.
Excellent. Cool. I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for, coming on the show and really just spending some time with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I've enjoyed myself.
Excellent. And for the audience, thanks so much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed creating it. Feel free to hit that share button so other people can get some value as well. Also, if you're looking for a place to connect with like-minded people in these tough times, I recommend you go check out the links in the description below to our free community on LinkedIn and on Facebook. So have a great day, guys. Talk to you soon and see you later. And we're done recording in 3 and 2 and